Hello everyone, myself Pancham Singh. I am going to discuss next important lecture on machine learning, that is clustering in machine learning. So clustering means cluster. So what is clustering basically? Organizing data into cluster such that there is a high intra-clustering. Yeah, clustering means similarity, high intra-clustering similarity, yeah, low inter-clustering similarity. So here cluster is divided into different groups. So we can see here the diagram. Some clusters are very close, that is high intra-clustering. Some clusters are away, that is low intra-clustering. So clustering means how many clusters are there in a group, that is called clusters, high intra-clustering and low intra-clustering. So informally, finding natural grouping among objects, that is objects in the different groups. Why do we want to do, why it is required for us? Because we are having the group of the clusters through which we can find out the similarity of the objects, how many objects belong in that data set, how you are going to segregate the data set in the different objects in the form of the clusters. We are going to find out the mixed data in the form of the clusters. So we are doing the data set in such a way that we can find out the different types of the object in the data set. So this is the example. For example, we are searching the Simpsons. So if we are searching the Simpsons in the large amount of data set, so automatically Simpsons type of the keyword is search the similarity of the Simpson in the website, in the Google. So we can find out the group of the Simpsons on the basis of the keyword. Why we need clustering? Why clustering is important? Yeah, why we need clustering? So clustering means organizing data into cluster provides information about the internal structure of the data. What is the internal structure of the data? Because a data is a group of clusters, a data having the different objects. So how you can find out how many types of objects are there inside the data? So by using the clustering techniques, clustering approach, we can segregate the types of the objects, types of the data which are available in that group of data. Types of objects are available inside the data. So that is the cluster. So clustering and clustering genes above. Sometimes the partitioning is the goal because we are partitioning the group of the images. So we can easily find out the types of objects. Knowledge discovery in data, underlying rules, recurring pattern, topics, etc. So they are also belong in the cluster. Now types of the clusters. Why cluster is divided? Because we have the different types of clustering techniques. We have the different types of clusters. So hard clustering means in this type of clustering, each data point belong to a cluster completely or not. A cluster is a find out in the data set, either it is complete, either it is not complete. Hard means a cluster is completely available in the data set. That is hard cluster. For example, let's say there are 4 data points and we have to cluster them into 2 clusters. So each data point will either belong to cluster 1 or cluster 2. So which one is belong to the cluster 1 and which one is belong to the cluster 2. So we have the group of the clusters. So we have 2 groups, cluster 1 and cluster 2. So we can easily find out which one is belong to this party and which one is belong to that party. So on the basis of the cluster we can find out. So we have the 2 groups. So data points is A, B, C, D. Clusters C1, C2, C2, C1. So C1 is the cluster 1, C2 is the cluster 2. So which data objects are belong to C1, which data object belong to the C2. So here C1, cluster 1 is belong to the A and D, and for cluster 2 it belong to the BC. So B and C belong to the cluster 2 and A and D belong to the cluster 1. Now, soft clustering means, in this type of clustering, instead of assigning each data point into the separate cluster, a probability or likelihood of the point being that cluster is evaluated. For example, let's say there are 4 data points and we have to cluster them into 2 clusters. So we will evaluate a probability of data point belonging to the both clusters. This probability is calculated for all data sets, data points. For example, we have the data points, probability of C1, probability of C2. So which data point, which object is belong to the C1, cluster 1, and which data is belong to the C2. So they are calculated on the basis of the probability, on the basis of the occurrence of that data, occurrence of that object in the form of the probability. So if someone is belonging to this probability, we are categorized in those group 1, and someone is belong to this category, we are belonging to this one. So on the basis of the probability, we can divide it into the group of the clusters. Uses of clustering. Clustering algorithm are majorly used for the market segmentation, क्योंकि market based analysis by using the clustering technique. So clustering is used for the market segmentation, या sales management, या marketing. For example, business uses clustering to group their customer and use targeted advertisement to attract more audience. So how we are going to create a content in such a way that more audience is attracted by this video lecture. More audience are attracted by this content. So how we are going to create a content in such a way that it can create a huge amount of the audience for that content. So on the basis of the audience, either we have 2 options, either you are going to create on the basis of the audience, either you are going to create a video या content in such a way that you are going to increase the audience. So it depend upon the 2 category. So businesses use clustering to group their customers and use targeted advertisement to attract more audience, because in NCR region we are living here. So the business company is creating the product in such a way that people can buy the product on the basis of the earning amount, because if you are going to create that product in the rural area, people, they have less amount, they have earning amount is low, they cannot buy that particular product. But in NCR, if you are going to create that type of product, they can easily buy that particular product on the basis of target audience. So that is the important. Whatever you are doing on the basis of the audience, or you are creating a product in such a way that the audience will automatically attracted toward the product. Market basket analysis. Shop owner analyze their sales and figure out which items are majorly bought together by the customer. Sometimes customer is reaching on the shop, they are buying the product. So on the basis and the end of the month, we are going to calculate which item is going to most sell. So on the basis of demand of that particular product, you are increasing the buying of that product, you are putting the stock of that product in the shop. Whatever item is more purchased by the customer, so you are going to increase that amount, that quantity in your shop. So figure out which item are majorly bought together by the customer. For example, in USA, according to the study, disappears and beers were usually bought together by the father. So because there are people, they are purchasing the beer and disappears in the US. So this demand is very high in the US, but in India culture is other. because they are purchasing the homemade items, yeah, homemade use item more and more for the kirana shops. So that is the difference between the US and India. Indian is working in another way and US is working in different way on the basis of their culture. Social networking analysis. Social networking analysis means, so you are social media sites uses your data to standard your browsing behavior and provide you with the targeted friend recommendation on content recommendation. So social network analysis means what type of sites you are using, what type of recommendation you are giving to another people. So on the basis of your content, your social media content, people, they are going to approach to you, because on the basis of their previous history, social media sites uses your data to understand your browsing, what data you are searching on your browser, what data you are searching in your channel, what data you are searching on the LinkedIn, what data you are searching in the Google. So on the basis of your input, they know you have the taste for that item searching on the social media. So that type of item automatically, by using the AI, you are getting the product in similar way for the next search. So that is the use of the artificial intelligence and machine learning in the today era. Medical imaging. Doctors use clustering to find out disease area in diagnosis images like X-ray, because in medical system, in healthcare, machine learning play a significant role for doing the operation, for diagnosing the systems. Sometimes human cannot do the diagnosis at that level, but machine can do the diagnosis at that level. The accuracy of the perfectness by using the machine is far better than the human. So that's why machine is not get tired, but human get tired after sometimes. But that is the difference between machine and human. So machine is giving the accurate result, perfect result without tired, but human giving the more flexible result on the basis of their experience. Decision tree learning. A decision tree is a very common algorithm that we human use to make many different decisions. You may using one without realizing it. A decision tree is a simple model for supervised classification, या supervised machine learning technique. It is used for the classifying single discrete target features. So we are going to target a single type of discrete features by using the machine learning, या by using the decision tree. Each internal node performs a Boolean test on the input features. General, a test may have the more than two options, but these can be converted into the series of the Boolean test. So we have the two category. Maybe we are targeting one category by in the decision tree. Boolean means we have the value in the form of the 0 and 1. Either you have the value, either you have not the value. So it will depend upon the 0, 1. The edges are labeled with the value of that input features. Each leaf node is specify a value for the target feature. So every leaf of that tree is finding out the target features, what is the next feature. Decision tree representation. Decision tree classify instances by sorting them down into the tree from the root to the leaf, because we are moving from the leaf to the node. So we are going to find out the classification. Classification is done by the decision tree. Ki what is the next data, what is the next value on the basis of the previous one. So tree from the root to the some leaf node, which provide the classification of the instances in the decision tree representation. So from root to the leaf, we are going to classify. Next one is each internal node test and attribute. So what is the internal node? Means every internal node have the attributes, have the value. On the basis of that, we are moving to the next node or next leaf. Now each branch correspond to the attribute value. Every branch have the corresponds value. On the basis of that, we can find out this is the branch of this tree and we are moving to this branch to that branch on the basis of their attributes. Now, what about the decision tree and logical operators? So, what logical operators we are using in the decision tree? AND operator, OR operator, XOR operator. So, these three operators are very popular in the Boolean. Generally, we are using in the decision tree. So, the AND operator means, this means all conditions must be true for a specific outcome. So, all conditions must be true, then you are getting your result is correct, yeah, true. Otherwise, if any of the result is false, then you are not getting the output in the true. Now, OR means kya hoga? If this means that at least one of the condition must be true. If you have the three choice and two choice is wrong and one choice is right, so by using OR operator, we can choose the right choice. What about the XOR? XOR means only one condition can be true, but not both. It is not compulsory, it is not mandatory that both condition is true. If any one condition is true, then you are getting the true value by using the XOR. For example, we are taking some examples like discrete mathematics. We can solve this question by using these operators, AND operator, OR operator and XOR operator. So, they are going to help for the calculation of this problem. Now, here is a example of using the Moji's decision tree. Assume I am 30 years old. This is work related. I am an accountant. I am not trying to get fired. So, this is the problem. So, by using this problem, we are going to conclude what is the problem. Problem is if we convert a decision tree to program, what does it look like, how it can be done by the programmer. So, solution is a decision tree correspond to program with a big nested if then else structure. So, how you are going to create? We can create by using the nested loop, nested if then. So, you can take this example very well. Should I use Moji question mark? So, there are two terms, either you are using, either you are not using. If you are using, you are going for the S, and if you are not using, you are going for the no. So, there is a two terms. Are you over 9 years now? Someone is saying yes, someone is saying no. Let's say we are going to no part, no section. So, no is means are you over 65 years or someone is saying yes, someone is saying no. If no, then you are moving to the next part of the tree. Is this work related to you? Someone is saying yes, it is related, then you are moving to the left side. Someone is saying no, then it is related to the right side. So, means it is work on the if then. You can say nested if then. If yes, then yes. If sum is true, then sum is false. There is two situations. Maybe one is true, one is false. And on the basis of that, we are moving to the next level of the tree. We are moving to the next part of the tree. Genetic algorithm are the heuristic search and optimization technique that mimic the process of the natural evolution. So that is GA, genetic algorithm or genetic approach is a meta-heuristic technique basically used for the optimization. Genetic algorithm is a search-based optimization technique based on the principle of genetics and natural selection. So, on the basis of natural selection or generation, we are taking the example, we are taking the answer on the basis of genetics and natural selection. This is frequently used to find optimal or near optimal solution to difficult problem which otherwise would take a lifetime to solve. It is frequently used to solve optimization problem in research and machine learning because it is very popular algorithm in the meta-heuristic technique or optimization technique used to solve the different real-time problem by using the machine learning technique, by using the deep learning technique. So, GA basically genetic algorithm is very useful optimization technique for solving the different research in different areas, in the healthcare, in the militaries, in the real-time environment and many more where you can solve the problem. Optimization refer to the finding the values of input in such a way, such a way that we get the best output values. The definition of the best varies from the problem to problem, because best means kya? How best is vary? It depends upon the problem to problem. What is the best for this problem? What is the best for that problem? On the basis of the problem, then we can say this is the best and this is not the best. Advantage of genetic algorithm: does not require any deviation information because it is not additional requirement information. Is faster and more efficient as compared to the traditional, because traditional approach are slow down, they are manual based, but genetic algorithm is faster and this is a not manual based, has very good parallel capabilities, optimize both continuous and discrete function. It is work on both level like continuous and discrete function. Provides a list of good solution and not just a single solution. It is provide the good solution, or you can say it is provide the best solution for that input values. Always get an answer to the problem which gets better over the time. So which is the better and which is the better over the time. On the basis of that, it is giving the result, outcomes. Useful when the search space is very large and there are a large amount of parameters involved. If there are large amount of parameter instances are there, then you can use the genetic algorithm and it will intelligently solve the problems. Some drawbacks of these algorithms are GA are not suited for all problems, especially problems which are simple and for which deviative information is available. So it is not for the simple problem, it is used for the complex problem. Second is fitness value is calculated repeatedly, which might be computationally expensive for some problem, because if you are not using the large amount of data, then no need to use the GA, because GA is used for the large huge amount of data, complex data set. On the base on that it is giving the good performance. Being stochastic, there are no guarantee on the optimally or the quality of the solution. There is no 100% guarantee you are getting good result by using the genetic algorithm. Sometimes you are getting the good result, sometimes you are getting the bad result, but it will costly algorithm, it is complex algorithm. So if you are going to use this algorithm, so definitely use for the large amount of data set, not for the small. If not implemented properly, the GA may not converge to the optimal solution. If you are going to use this algorithm and you are properly not converging, then you are not getting the good result. So these are the advantages and disadvantages. Now next topic is SVM, that is support vector machine. So this support vector machine is very popular machine learning techniques and it is used for the hyperplane to divide the data in two groups. So support vector machine is a supervised machine learning techniques algorithm for the classification. So we are using the SVM for the classification. Classification means we are classifying the data in two groups. Classification problem, both classification and regression. So SVM is used for the classification as well as regression. So it is used for the classification as well as regression. This is very popular algorithm of the machine learning. Though we say regression problems as well, it is best suited for the classification. The main objective of the SVM algorithm is not to find the optimal hyperplane in n-dimensional space that can separate the data point in different classes in the features. So we are dividing the data in the form of the planes. So plane is basically used for the where you have the data, and we are dividing the data in two different planes, two different groups by using the hyperplane. So SVM chooses the extreme points, a vector that help in the creating the hyperplane. These extreme cases are called as support vector. Support vectors. So support vector means we are going to create a hyperplane, and that plane is dividing into the data into the two groups. And hence algorithm is termed as the support vector machine. Consider that below diagram is which is the given. So you can see this diagram. This is the support vector machine figure, a diagram. We have the hyperplane. This is the hyperplane, bold line, and in the upper side we have the positive hyperplane and below side the negative hyperplane. So we have the two category of the data. Some data is upper and some data is lower. So we have divided this hyperplane by a distance that is called the support vector. So what is support vector? What value is more close to that margin lines? So this is the margin line that's showing the support vector. So margin line basically showing the distance, minimum distance of that hyperplane that predict the support vector. So this is the support vector machine work on the hyperplane as well as work on the maximum margin. So the data, a cluster which is more close, that is more focused, and which are away from the margin, that is less focused. So this is the key features of the SVM. What is the example of the SVM? SVM basically support vector machine can be understood with the example that we have used in the KNN classification. Yeah, we can use for the classification as well as regression for the SVM. Suppose we see the strange cat that also have some features of the dog. So if we want to model that, can accurately identify whether it is a cat or dog. Sometimes we are trained the model in such a way that it will distinguish either this is a cat, either this is a dog. So sometimes there are some features of the cat is matched in the dog. So model is going to confuse, and it is not understand, or it is not distinguished, and it put the dog and cat in the same parameter, yes, same hyperplane. So it depends upon the model. So how model is distinguishing either it is a cat, either it is dog on the basis of intelligence. Now we will first train our model with lots of images of the cats and dog, so that it can learn about the different features of the cat and dog. Then we can test with the strange creation. That's I have already discussed. If you are going to differentiate either this is the cat or this is dog, because cat and dog in the born type, yeah, you can say in the early age of the cat and dog, they have the more common features. But if you are going to distinguish either this is a cat or this is dog, so it is important to distinguish it is cat or dog. First you will train the model in huge amount of data, so that model can take the right decision and distinguish this is a cat and this is a dog. That is important. So in the beginning level, you want to train the model in large amount of data, so that it can take the right decision. So this is the example of cat and dog. So let's say you can see here cat and dog. So you can distinguish. You are training the model in such a way that model will take the decision, model will give the prediction, either this is a cat, either this is dog, because sometimes model is going to confuse ki this is a cat and it is predicting this is dog. So that is the problem for the SVM, yeah, machine learning. So we are training the model in large amount of data, so that it can take good decision. SVM can be of two types, linear SVM and non-linear SVM. So there are two category of the support vector machine. That is, linear means it will work on the linear way, and it did not work on the linear way. So separating linear SVM is used for the linearly separate data, which means if a data set can be classified into two classes by using the single straight lines, then such data comes under the linear. Linear means we are dividing the data in the linear way, so we can distinguish this is the data in the two category. This is the upper part is linear, below part is not linear. But in non-linear is used for the non-linearity separation data, which means if a data set cannot be classified by using a straight line, then such data is termed as the non-linear. Sometimes we are going to divide the data in two categories. The data is linear, data is non-linear. Sometimes the data is neither linear nor non-linear. They are comes in the both. That is called the non-linear. So depend upon the model. So how your model is going to classify the data is this category and this data is this category. On the basis of that, it will take the decision. Image classification, for example, image classification identify objects in images like recognizing faces or animals. So sometimes they are confused to take the decision, this is linear or this is not linear. Text categorization. For text categorization also you are going to classify the text, either sorting the text, a document into category like spam or not spam in the email. So what data is in the spam and what data is not? Some mails are spammy and some mail is not spamming. On the basis of their category, they can classify. Now in bioinformatics, classifying proteins or genes based on the biological data. So it is also form of the classification. Handwriting recognition, identifying the letters and digits in the handwriting. So what are the numbers in the handwriting, what are the digits in the handwriting, on the basis of they classify. Stock market prediction, predicting stock price trends based on the historical data. On the basis of historical data, it can classify ki stock market price, ki where is the stock price right now, on the basis of historical data, on the basis of previous data. Thank you.